on St. Patrick's Day, is it?
Yes, it will indeed.
Okay.
And it's basically what I'm the chairman of the St. Patrick's Charity Foundation here in Warsaw. It's gone about 25 years. And we support all various kinds of charities across the country, be they schools, be they hospices, be they hospitals, for all sorts of equipment, shelters for families that have.
Fair play, yeah.
So there's no small area or no large
broad
area.
spectrum of things.
We cover a lot of things, and over the last number of years, over the last 20 years, like we've raised about €1.25 million.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so sponsors have been just nothing short of fantastic. Because without the sponsors, it doesn't happen. But then we demonstrate what we do. You know, we show what we do. We normally host a big charity ball every year. There's about 600 people at it. And it showcases what we do, and we give there's videos of actually what money was spent where for that particular year.
So, people can see it firsthand then.
Very important. It's tangible. It's actually tangible.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. So people like yourself spending the time or taking the time to help us out is hugely appreciated. And
no hassle at all.
From all of us, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So, okay, look, we'll get started then, because of course you are busy. So thanks a lot. You know, we're here today. We're joined by superstar jockey Rachael Blackmore. Rachael, thanks very much indeed for joining us today. Really do appreciate it. We've got a few questions for you. Hopefully they won't be too difficult and not too tricky. So what we're going to do, we're going to ask intermittent questions. I'm going to go first, and then Seamus is going to follow me. So the first one we've got is, what is the funniest thing that a rival jockey has ever said to you during the race?
So there was a rider over here called Rachael Blackmore. He's kind of retired a few years now, but he was the ultimate man for the one-liners. He was a very funny guy to have in the weigh room. He's extremely witty. I'll try and give you one or two of them, but like completely won't do it any justice. But I remember being down at the start one day in Tipperary, and the ground was very firm, very hard, and Roger just comes down to the start and we're all lined up, and he goes, "Lads, I just saw a crow over there land, and it's after breaking its leg." You know, he was that kind of a guy. He could come out of the showers. And you know, there mightn't be any hot water left or something, and he could just start saying there's a bunch of polar bears inside in the shower if anyone wants to go in. And you know, he was a very funny guy for the one-liners. So Roger Blackmore was the funny man in the weigh room. He's gone now, unfortunately. He's retired 2 or 3 years.
What about vice versa? How about you? Have you given any funny one-liners during the race?
No, I'm actually very bad to talk in a race. People, have said to me, I never answer anyone back. Like, people might be surprised. There would often be, a bit of conversation going on throughout a race. But yeah, for some reason, I just seem to just not respond to anyone. So no, I've nothing funny to add, unfortunately.
Okay, great one, thanks.
And Rachael, as racing, it's not as mainstream as us aficionados would like it to be. What would you like to see done to raise a profile and bring more people into the sport?
Yeah, so this is obviously a question that's, very much on the forefront of a lot of the racing industry's, head people to try and keep things going. I'd love to have the magic answer. From where I am, I suppose it's all about young people, and trying to get them involved more. Whether it be through their college clubs and college syndicates and that kind of thing, and even down as far as primary school children, educating them more, trying to give them, we'll say Tiger Roll, for example. I think he's been a fantastic horse for primary school age children to kind of latch on to. Those kind of things are very important. And yeah, I suppose it's all about the young people, but it's definitely yeah, it's definitely a topic which, you know, I wish I had the answer to.
Okay, thank you.
Great one. Okay, so you know, outside of the sport itself, you know, everyone knows you for the sport, and you know, you're connected to all of these, you know, famous jockeys per se. But let's say, for example, you were holding a dinner party at home. Who would be the 3 non-racing celebrities that you'd like to invite, and why would you do that?
So during the first lockdown, during the first lockdown, like a lot of people, I watched the Michael Jordan documentary on Netflix, The Last Dance. I found that very good. So I would, Michael Jordan is invited. I think someone like Bill Gates. I think he's just a very, very interesting man. You know, the work he does for charity and stuff. He's just a very interesting man. So I think he'd be cool to have as well. And someone like Beyonce there as well, just because she's very cool too. I don't know. They'd be three kind of random guests to have, but why not the 3 of them?
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And of all the race courses, Rachel, which is your favorite?
My favorite is Leopardstown to ride. Definitely. Like, it's just it's a very fair place. You know, you turn down the back, there's 5 fences in a row. If you get a horse around Leopardstown over fences, jumping in a good rhythm, like, it's a fantastic feeling from a jockey's perspective. It's a fantastic race course to ride. There's obviously a lot of big days in the Irish racing calendar in Leopardstown as well. So that'd be my number 1 racetrack to ride. And then obviously Cheltenham, for the atmosphere of the festival is extremely special. You know, unfortunately that won't be the case this year, but you know, hopefully we'll see the crowds back next year.
And of all the races that you would love to ride in, which is the one that you either have or haven't ridden in yet, which is the one that's really on your to-do list?
So my to-do lists to win would definitely be the Gold Cup. I think that's on, you know, that's a dream race for a lot of people. It's the Gold Cup and the Grand National for jump jockeys anyway. You know, they're the 2 big ones. Yeah. So if either of them was going, I'd take them. But I'm in a lucky position to be, you know, getting on horses who are of the caliber to be in those races. So you know, if you're not in, you can't win. And yeah, I definitely think the Gold Cup would be one I'd love to win someday.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, so this question probably shouldn't really be asking a jockey this one, but we're going to ask you anyway. When was the last time you had a full-fried Irish breakfast?
So the traditional full-fried Irish breakfast, like, I probably would never really go for that. I'd go for like the bacon sandwich, or, you know, that kind of, I'd never ever pick that on the menu. But from a jump jockey's perspective, I'm extremely lucky in that I can eat what I like. My diet is, my weight is good, we'll say. So I'm just over 9 stone, and the bottom weight in Ireland for riding over jumps is 912. So my weight isn't a problem. You know, if I was, we'll say, to switch to being a flat jockey, I'd obviously have to watch it a lot more then. But for a jump jockey, I'm very light for a jump jockey. So I'm very, very privileged in that sense. I live with 2 other jockeys, and they're not so lucky. So I do realize how lucky I am when they're in the bath sweating before racing and that kind of thing. When I'm there making a chocolate cake and tucking into it, you know. So I do feel quite lucky.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, just as a side note, so you say you live with 2 other jockeys. So you're down in the kitchen in the morning frying and sizzling your bacon, and those poor two can't touch it. That's great.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's not... I think jump jockeys, flat jockeys definitely have it a little bit harder, we'll say, than jump jockeys. You know, look, there's obviously I think there's more lads on the flat who are really find it tough, and it's an extreme world of that they're living in. But I suppose people do it because they love racing and they love riding horses and they love riding winners. So if it was something that I had to do, it'd be done as well.
Right. Okay. That's interesting.
But I do love eating. I'm delighted I do.
So do we, actually.
And a question that we are going to ask in the quiz. So,
okay.
Or should I be saying that, Richard? Or can we edit that out afterwards?
Yeah, we can, Seamus. Yeah, we can.
How many hands high are you?
Oh, sugar! I meant to Google this. Someone will have to get out their phone and translate this. But I'm just over 5'7", so whatever that is in hands.
5'7", that is 67 inches, 16'3".
You are good at maths.
You're tall.
Yeah, I'm not small, I suppose. Yeah.
Wow.
But I'm not tall either. To me, like 6 foot is tall for a girl.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
But yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with your calculation.
Yeah, I'll double check it afterwards, make sure it's right. Okay. Okay, so when we look at racing, it's probably one of the only sports where men and women can compete, I think, on equal terms. So for kids who are you mentioned kids earlier, which I think was great. So for kids looking to be the next Rachael Blackmore, what's your advice to them in terms of, getting into the racing industry and making a career in the racing industry?
Yeah, so first of all, for me to be the same advice, male or female. Like there's no difference. You have to work if you want to be a jockey. If you want to go down that career, if you want to be a trainer, if you want to enter into any aspect of the racing industry, it does require an awful lot of work. From a jockey's perspective, there is a lot more jockeys out there who want to ride those couple of horses than there is those couple of horses, if you get me. So it's an extremely competitive game. So you just have to be prepared from day one that you're going to have to work very hard. And I think if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to put in the time, and you have the ability, then you'll get your chances. And that's what everyone needs, is just to get that opportunity. But you just need to keep working, I think, to get that opportunity.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
And your colleague, Hugh Morgan, what a ride on young Dev.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
We're just sitting there watching, going, what are we looking at here? It's just, and even Ruby said that is ride of the decade, if not the century.
Yeah, incredible. Like for someone like Hugh Morgan to have gotten praise like that from Ruby Walsh, you can get praise. If you win a race, the owners will be delighted with you. Your trainer will. Your mother will be delighted. But like to get praise from your fellow colleagues, like from someone like Ruby, to give him praise like that is one of the biggest accolades I think you can be delighted with as a jockey. So it was an incredible performance. But he's an extremely dedicated man. You go back to there giving advice to young people, it'll probably be try and be like Hugh Morgan, because he is extremely disciplined with his weight, with his diet, with his fitness. I remember going racing with him one day there in the summer. Last summer, he got a lift with me to the races, and we were driving home, and I was pulling into the shop. Summer racing in Ireland, you could be coming home there at 9:30, 9:30. Yeah. You're stopping off in McDonald's and those kind of places. There's nowhere else to get anything nice and hot to eat. But like Hugh Morgan pulled out a lunchbox, had a boiled piece of chicken cooked from earlier with a side salad, and he had brought that with him. Wow. In preparation for for not having to stop and eat, you know, fast food, you know. So that's the kind of dedication that he has. You know, he was riding out during our first lockdown when racing was off with waterproofs on, so he wouldn't get too heavy in the sun. Do you know what I mean? So that's the kind of ability. No, ability is wrong. That's the work he puts in. You know, to have the strength to do what he did was phenomenal. But it's because he puts in an awful lot of work, and you know, I hope he does. I hope there is Ride of the Decade and he does get it. You know.
Absolutely, because most certainly is well deserved. It's just spectacular. And while a lot of that would be actual natural talent, there's no doubt about that, because you can't go 2 miles 7 without a saddle or without irons, sorry, and without having certainly a natural seat, but also the leg power, the thighs, the calves, like. Mm-hmm. And I'd say we'd know he was sore the next day, but he'd be like, to have the actual grip and the power. Is there certain routines or work, or is it just a natural physical?
No, it's so like you could go into the weigh room and ask any jockey to come out and, you know, school the horse down over those 2 fences, but you can't have any irons, and everyone would be able to do it, you know. Jockeys who are riding, you know, at the level that we're riding would be able to do that. But as you say, it's the fact that he did it over a prolonged distance. That requires something. That requires extreme core strength, first of all. And you know, you don't get that. You don't get that without putting in a lot of work. Like there's no specific exercises, I suppose. You know, different jockeys would do different things to keep fit and whatever. I kind of do, myself would do kind of circuits type things. You know, I do legs one day, arms another day, you know, weights, band work, lots of kind of general things, but everything kind of working back towards your core. Okay. You know, that's an important thing to have, as strong as you can when you are riding.
Okay, thanks.
That's a fantastic compliment. But okay, you talk about Hugh's dedication to the sport. You know, we were looking earlier before we came online. You know, you've had 459 rides this season so far. You've had the most rides of any jockey in Ireland. So that shows a real level of dedication. But our question is, do you have any sort of techniques, either, you know, like mental strength techniques or conditioning techniques? What drives you? You know, what drives you to that level of work ethic?
A very good agent, anyway. First of all, he's the man who gets me all these horses. So his name is Gary Cribben, and yeah, he does a great job. But yeah, look, I'm in a very good position. You know, I'm in a position that a lot of jockeys in the weigh-in would love to have. You know, I've got a very good partnership with Henry de Bromhead. He's got a massive yard of horses who, you know, who are there for me to ride, and like that's a massive help. And then I, you know, pick up a lot of outside rides as well. I suppose, as I was saying earlier, my weight is a help there, and you know, I can ride at lighter weights than some of the other jockeys, so that would open me up for more rides as well. And look, with regards to motivation and stuff, like it's very easy to stay motivated when you can list off some of the horses that I have to ride. You know, it's if I wasn't motivated in this sport, I don't know who'd be, you know.
Okay, I've just got another question, Seamus, if you don't mind, just on a side note to that. Mm-hmm. So, okay, we're coming up to Cheltenham, and at the moment, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, hopefully you are, but your career earnings so far are 4.275 million euros. So
I'll just stop you there.
Go on.
Because
go on.
a friend of mine, what?
Go on.
A friend of mine looked at an Irish Racing, our website over here, it has your career earnings.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine looked it up and rang me and was like, oh my God, like I knew I knew you were doing well, but like, this is unbelievable. I don't think she realized that I'm on a percentage of that. I thought she, she thought I was pocketing all those career earnings. So I said,
that's
if I was,
brilliant.
I'd be going on my yacht in the summer, but no, it's a very small percentage of that ends up in my bank account.
Exactly, but my question, thanks for mentioning that though, because that's important, because the people who are going to be watching won't really understand that. They won't understand. They might see that, the career earnings, but they might think, oh, Rachael Blackmore, she's really rich. But of course, you get your percentage. But my question was, okay, coming up to Cheltenham, you've got great rides in the Champion Hurdle and the Gold Cup. Realistically, Cheltenham could be the time when you hit 5 million in career winnings.
Yeah, it's not something that I was aware of at all, to be honest.
Okay.
You'd never really look at that yourself. As I was saying, those career winnings are the overall prize money for a race, and then a jockey would get, so if you win a race it's worth 60 grand to the winner. So that'd be, the grade ones, the top end races. We'll say the winner gets 60 grand, and you get a percentage then as a jockey, and then that gets broken down again. You have to pay your agent, pay your valet, you have to pay all those things. So it could be 6 or 7% of that, so it's not reflective of my personal career earnings.
It's probably it's probably not reflective of the dangers of the sport as well, really, in a way. It's a tough.
Yeah, it is, but you have to love doing it, and it doesn't feel like a job. I get to go to Cheltenham and ride these Champion Hurdle horses, Gold Cup horses, and you'd nearly pay someone to get the opportunities to ride some of them.
That's a fantastic thing to say. I think that's brilliant. That's really brilliant.
And I think that's what's going to be really, really hard this year, is like missing that initial roar, because that on the Tuesday and the first day, it's just you have to experience it. Like, it must be just something spectacular. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge, no doubt. But although you're almost used to it now at this stage, though it still must be kind of eerie, like having empty racetracks.
Yeah, look, it is. The Dublin Racing Festival in Leopardstown, the atmosphere there last year, like when Faheen won, when Honeysuckle won, was incredible, Yes. So, it is very different. Cheltenham will be extremely different, but I think as a racing community, we're just extremely grateful that we're going to be there. Things are continuing on. It's providing a lot of a lot of release and entertainment for people. They'll be tuning in at home from the couch, but it's fantastic that we're there. It's very important for our industry that it goes ahead. So I don't think there'll be anyone complaining about the fact there's no crowds. We'll just be looking forward to the crowds being back next year, hopefully. Absolutely. And to wrap up, and to thank you for your time, Rachael, we want to do either a €25 each way or a €50 win bet, and the proceeds will go to the Irish Injured Jockeys Fund. So we need a tip or two. Tip or two.
No pressure.
I could give you a few short price odds on favorites there and see how you get on. I was trying to think of one that won't be so obvious maybe, but a horse I rode in the Dublin Racing Festival was second on him there. His name is Champagne Gold, and he will go to Cheltenham. He's in the Martin Pipe, he's in one or two of the other handicaps as well, but whatever he runs in, I think you could go for a 25 each way on him. I think he'll run very well.
Right,
fantastic.
Should we give another chance, Seamus? What do you think? do you want to go for a short, not a short one, not odds on, but a shorter one on a win bet? We'll do two.
So you could go for Bob Ollinger, or no, Honeysuckle, I suppose. She's going to be very short. Bob Ollinger go for Bob Ollinger. He might be a bit more value. he could possibly run in, he's in the Ballymore and he's in the Supreme. So yeah, whichever he goes for, yeah, he's in fantastic form at the moment.
Right, that's fantastic.
Rachel, you've been a star. Thank you so much indeed. We really, really appreciate it. So from everyone, on behalf of everyone of the St. Patrick's Charity Foundation Committee and all in Warsaw for St. Patrick's, we will be cheering you on throughout the festival. Of that, have no doubt. We will find some way of observing it. Although the restrictions here are quite severe, so we have to be very careful.
Oh, you do?
Yes, very much so. So on behalf of myself and Richard, and also especially a big thank you to Zoe for organising this. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And happy St. Patrick's.
Happy St. Patrick.
Thanks a million for having me, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone tuning in as well. And well done for all the good work that you're doing over there.
Thanks very much, Rachel. Have a good one. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Rachel. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.